Welcome back to The Rise, everyone. And I am thrilled for you to be here today because we have an awesome guest. We're going to have an amazing, real, exciting, and deep conversation today with the J.M. Reyerson, author, international speaker, best-selling author. JM, I'm so excited for everyone to get to know you today. And you have already, just as we're coming together and meeting each other in this moment, you have had 20 years of experience leading teams, and you have spoken all over. You have multiple books. You are a mindset coach. You're a performance coach. There's so many cool places that we can go, but I'm just so thrilled to welcome you to the show.
Well, I'm humbled and glad to be here, Sarah. You were so awesome when I got a chance to interview you and to flip the script here and to be on the show. It's just, I know we're going to have a bunch of fun and just so aligned. I love that when you get to meet somebody and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna be interacting for a long time. You don't get to find it every day, so I'm blessed.
I feel the same. I feel exactly the same way. I'm excited for this, getting to know you a little bit now, and having the chance to be on your podcast. There's so much I want to find out, and everyone here wants to find out about you and what you do in the world. And something we focus on a lot here, the show's called The Rise, right? And the idea is we can talk about the summit. Like right now, we can say people can look at you and think, "Oh my gosh, he has books. He's a keynote speaker. He's a leading coach. He's got decades of experience," and see the badass that you are today. And that didn't happen overnight.
Mm.
And we like to look at not just the summit, but the rise. Like, what were some of those key moments that were pivotal in getting you to where you are now? So, where take us back to, did you always know that this is what you'd be doing?
Not even slightly.
Okay.
It's funny. You're right, because often we give out our bio and it's all the great things that have happened, and it's like, let me give you the highlight reel, which is always positive. And the truth is, yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff. And by the way, there's been a lot of really, really challenging things that happened. I grew up in Montana, pretty simple kid, loved to play sports. I blew out my knee 3 times, so my basketball career ended. Ended up going to study abroad, came back, didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. Ended up going to California, worked in corporate for a couple of years, realized I don't like people telling me how much money I can make or where to be, not my spot. Went into financial services and met my business partner for the first 3 companies that we had a chance to built and
Mhm.
sold those along the way.
Yeah.
And then wrote my first book for my kids. As we talked off air, I have 18, my wife and I have 18 and 15-year-old sons. And the book was all about inspiring them to live their best lives, which led to what Let's Go Win is. Now,
Yeah.
so there's the highlight reel. What happened along the way? Well, let me see. My wife and I were separated for a year on the verge of divorce.
Mm.
I've had 2 business partners steal money. Last one was $2.5 million.
Mm.
I lost my dad in a pretty tragic manner a couple of years ago. And so, it's so interesting I don't say that to be like, woe is me. I say it to say, yeah, there was a rise. And you know what? These really challenging things, some of the greatest gifts in the world. And yet I don't think we talk about it maybe enough. So I love the way you preface the question to say, cool, where did you come from? But was there some bumps and bruises? A whole lot of them.
I love this, and I want to go in, if you're open to it, to some of these, because again, we can see the glamour, the fake book world, and just it's my joke on this show is always, you see the person like, I was living in my car and now I have my own island, and it's like I'm a multi-billionaire, and it's exciting and inspiring, but it's hard to sometimes relate and see our own lives in it. And everyone has, unfortunately, we wish it wasn't this way, but stuff happens, like hard challenges arise as we stay on the planet and live. And so I love that you wrote that first book for your kids. There's a few places I'm gonna dip back into, and you all must check out the Let's Go In podcast. It is fantastic, and that's a big piece of what you're doing now in the world, JM, right? So we'll talk about it. But you built 3 companies first. So were those real estate companies? Were they like, what were you doing? Multi-industry? You were in financial services
Yeah,
at
so really when you think it's not very exciting. It's literally financial services. We are talking life insurance, we're talking annuities, we're talking securities. Now here's the here's the thing. I don't know anything about financial services, and I knew it really early. I'm good at three things in life, Sarah, that I've figured out professionally speaking. I'm good at sales, leadership, and building teams. Well, why did that end up fitting? When I first met the gentleman, Rich is his name. When I first met him, it was in Northern California, in Sacramento, and he had one location. And I said, dude, this thing is awesome. Why aren't you across the nation? He goes, well, why would I be? Because, he's probably making low seven figures.
Right.
And I said, well, why not?
Right.
And he goes, I don't even know where I'd start. And I said, all right, let me show you. And so I went and opened our first location in
Mm,
Portland. We ended opening 8 locations with that particular company before we sold.
yeah.
And what I realized though, Sarah, is like I had very little passion about returns and dividends and earnings. That stuff didn't do anything for me from the financial service world.
Right.
But working with people,
Mm.
distribution, the liaison with the companies, loved it and excelled at it. And so I just figured my path real early and really honed in on that. And it happened to be in financial services.
Well, I love this because we could call in certain, coaching, words, we might call this like you figured out your zone of genius, your zones of genius. And what's so cool is it's a bit like if, we were talking in a previous conversation about books we've read, the old school, the OGs of the mental game and the mindset world, like Think and Grow Rich, right? And the idea of the mastermind. It's like you knew what you could bring. This guy was like, I'm doing fine, but you saw a way bigger vision. It's not like a 10x kind of moment, for him. And because of your skill set, his, I mean, then that's the key. And I hope that's what people take away here of, we don't want to do everything. That doesn't
Mm,
even work. And it's not our passion. And so you were able, I love that you were able to know, hey, here's what I'm really great at, but to also spot opportunity because you might not have known the financial services, but that guy was never going to grow or go anywhere near where you ended up taking that company because of your vision, right? So I think I see in you, and I see this in your work as I, researched you and, did all the fun prep for today of just, that you're a visionary. And so you're able to see that bigger vision for others, for your kids, for yourself in your life, and these business partners. So I love that. And you didn't even have to know a lot about the nuts and bolts of that business. So I just want people hearing this to like think about possibility. What are you good at? Right. And you knew it and you took it big. Can we talk about the person stealing $2.5 million? I mean, and the reason I want to talk about is just I call in our community, we call this business trauma. So we have like
mm,
business PTSD is actually a real thing. I believe I've had other types of PTSD. So I'm speaking as someone who's like had that as a real actual like diagnosis. I'm not making light of anything. And I feel absolutely that whether it's someone stealing our intellectual property, someone taking my, I've had two doozies, really, really terrifying, sort of financial, things that have happened with, a partnership that went awry. And I have heard this from many, many. Tony Robbins talked about it was multi-millions. He had someone who was like $5 million. So 2.5 million to most people is a lot. And so not to dredge up pain, but like, can you share a little bit about not only, you don't have to share details about what happened, but what got you through it and what did
yeah.
you?
It's interesting. You said you had two doozies. Me too. So apparently I didn't learn the first time. And here's what's so cool. And I will get to the 2.5 million.
Ah,
The first time it was about $275,000. I'm still owed today. And
ah,
it took me 6 years, Sarah, to where I harbored resentment, anger, sheer like just think of bad, evil thoughts. I had them towards this group of people. It was 3 business partners. And then I finally forgave. I forgave them. I forgave the situation. But here's the deal, I didn't forgive for them, I forgave for myself. So here's what's crazy. Now the $2.5 million thing happens. And imagine this is about the closest friend you have. 10 years plus of, I mean, their kids I've watched and they've stayed at my house. I don't even know how many times, vice versa, family trips. And here's what's crazy. Because I'd gone through the first one, this one was not that big a deal. And I mean that to say, yes, losing that amount of money, that sucks, man. It's not fun. but yet it's still money. And my wife really helped me to say, you asked what really got me through it. My
Yeah.
wife was fantastic because she said, look, you have two options here. We can go down the litigation route and we can absolutely do that. And she goes, what's it going to cost? And I said, well, I'm very literal at this point. I'm logical, like, well, babe, the attorney will be this and it's going to be, she's like, no, 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 no. What is it going to cost? Or what's it going to cost towards our relationship, towards our family, towards your energy, towards building another business? And she said, so that's what you need to consider. And in that moment, I said, you know what? I'm good with it. And I
Yeah.
literally let it go. The
Oh,
thing that was so fascinating about it is my dad had passed away just a month earlier. So I was really grieving and not focused on what was happening.
yeah.
And so it was like a whirlwind of holy cow, lost my dad and
Right.
who was very, very close to me. And then this happens. But here's what's great, Sarah. It gave me a level of perspective that I can never buy, and my wife was dead on. It's like, look, it's just money. Let's go build something even better with this energy and let's move forward. Now, let's not make the same mistake again. You had the first business partner. Now we had a second. Learn, but you have to own the fact that you had a piece of this. You chose these business
Yes.
partners. So it's
Yes.
on you just as much as it is on them.
Yeah, and I love, I mean, people, might find it strange, right? We're having a conversation about business that's about forgiveness, and I didn't realize how crucial, like the amount of energy I had something with a team member, that just got really, and then one was a partnership that I worked on, and it's like personal responsibility. Like I hired the person, I chose to be, there's that piece, right? That I got to forgive myself for, like not seeing red flags and not, understanding things differently and having different, whatever, all the learnings we have. And the mental load and the emotional
Mm.
toll that I let that take on me. And what I love that you're talking about is a level of the ability to detach, the ability to forgive, the ability to move forward instead of looking out the rear. You said, the first one was like 6 years of resentment. I call it like rage. I mean, it's like a lot can come up because it's like hits at that level of financial security, depending on our mindset around what money means. And yet that this second time, it's like, I'm going to learn what I need to learn, take responsibility, and I'm letting this freaking go. And
Mm.
then I love that your wife was there to help you look. I always say, look out of the front, front window, not the rearview mirror, right? And likely, I don't know if this is true, but you probably know you will never make those kind of partnership decisions or whatever. I mean, there's probably really clear things now to look for or put in place. Is that true for you as well?
1000%. Look, education is expensive, and that is ultimately how I've looked at it. And here's the thing, you can regret all day, but here's the deal. I can't change the past. It's physically impossible unless if in audience members, if you have a time machine, maybe I go back and change a couple things, but I can't. And
Right.
here's the other crazy thing, and I say this to my clients all the time. Past is pain, future is anxiety, present is everything. And I really had to apply that for myself because look, if I were to go back, think about the past, oh man, I'm going to drive myself absolutely. It's going to be painful. Now, does that mean all memories in the past are painful? Of course not. But if I look back and I'm like, how amazing was my life back then? What am I saying about my life now? And
Right.
if I'm constantly thinking about, oh my gosh, the future is going to be so amazing, we're going to build this. Now I'm starting to create anxiety about all the things I need to do. Our ability to just stay present and say, this is what I have right now. This is all I'm guaranteed. I'm going to give it 100% of my best effort. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to be present. When I really was able to sit into that, it was like, okay, it's not so bad. I have my health. My family's healthy. What more could I really ask for?
What do we really need? And you went through a loss of someone really significant in your life, like to give that perspective of our mortality and our time here is precious. And so I love this. So everybody listening, just the past is pain. If it's again, a regret or something, we can't change it if we wanted to. Future anxiety. Oh, what's going to happen? Will I be okay? Versus right now. I kept during the one that really took that I let take a toll on me. I kept saying, I am okay. I have always been okay, and I always will be okay.
Mm.
And that's true because I'm still here. So I survived whatever came before, right? I'm here now. And I can trust that I've always figured something out, or there's been a way I've been taken care of, like again, what everyone's, whatever our spiritual beliefs are. So thank you. Thank you for being that type of a leader that could, I want everyone to take this in. $2.5 million and you were able to let it go. And it's money, and you can create more. You've done multiple businesses. So what are you excited about? We're entering, as we're having this
Mm.
conversation, it's a new year. It's a very interesting time in history and culture and the world and all kinds of things. And so what are you've got, a methodology that you work with your clients around, and when you're working on a new keynote, signature, keynote. So what are you excited about for this year? And maybe what can we get excited with you that we want to be focusing on as leaders?
Yeah, it's a good question. 2024 was a bit of a year of purging. And what I mean by that is certain relationships that were not serving what I was, in alignment with what I wanted to do. I just had to purge those. And so, what am I excited about is it's only 24 days. I don't know when this will come out, early in January. And the amount of business deals that are taking place in my life are just remarkable. And here's, you mentioned before, the zone of genius. I get to do exactly what I love. So ultimately, people are hiring me to double or triple their revenue. That's why people hire me. Okay, cool. But I'm in such alignment with the people that are coming into my life. In fact, the meditation that I have been doing recently said, let them come to you. Instead of me pursuing,
Mhm.
these deals are coming to me. And so what am I excited about? I'm excited about those. I wrote it down. 9 different deals right now that I'm helping in my zone of genius. I have these amazing partners, so they're going to make more money and I get to do what I love. So
Mhm.
that's fun. And then you did mention the keynote. I appreciate you bringing that up. So self. Everything comes to me in these meditations or quiet times, and self is what I realized, when I think of winning. People always ask me, what's winning? And I kept giving a definition. And here's when I decided to go look it up. When you look up the word winning, you're going to see one word again and again and again, and it's self belief, self love, self care, self discipline. I was like, why is that word self so prevalent? So then I went down the rabbit hole of what does self actually mean? Strength, energy, love, freedom. And then started breaking down the 3 different areas: emotional, mental, and physical in each arena. Sarah,
Mhm.
it's just, I mean, what it's doing not only for myself, but for my clients. It's like they are exploding away. I started this last year, excuse me, with one of my clients out in Oklahoma. And he was, the monetary figure. He was putting over 100 grand a month more in his pocket just based on this idea of self. We didn't ever talk about business. And so it's just so much fun to be able to serve in that way and to have this methodology that I can't take credit for. It just kept coming to me, and I'm just sharing it with those that I'm fortunate to work with.
Oh my God, I love that. My new book that I started, I shared with you 2 weeks ago. I started, the seventh book, and it's called The Download. And that's what I call that when you're in, it just comes to you. When you're in that meditative space, you and I are both, meditators, and you're letting it, it's like that's given to you, right? Elizabeth Gilbert calls it the big magic. It's like the self model and the self framework. That is so exciting. And that you weren't even talking about their business. Like that, isn't that cool? Like it's like we're gonna get these things lined up and it's gonna come to you. It's gonna
It's
come,
one of the funniest things about what I do. People ask me all the time. They're like, "Well, what do you do?" Yeah, you get that question all the time, and
right.
I'm like, "So my saying is, I sell them what they want, and I give them what they need."
Hmm.
So what do they want? They want to double or triple their revenue. Okay, here you go. That's why you want to work together. Cool. And then I give them what they need. And with David, is the gentleman I'm speaking of, all we talked about, because he had 5 life-changing things happen in one year. And I was like, David, you got a lot going on here, brother. And you're still succeeding in each point, but his stress level was off the charts. And so we just focused on him, and it's allowed him to thrive in each of these arenas. So anyway, I love it, Sarah. It's just been It's one of those freeing feelings of like, oh yeah, no, I know I'm in flow every single day that I'm working with these clients. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so exciting. And do you have a particular type of client or business that you like working on, or is it's because you're doing the inner work, like you said, sell them what they want. I want to double, triple my revenue. What you need is to get yourself lined up, all the self-discipline, the self-love, the self-care, all the selves. I love that. Is there a particular, are they in a particular industry, or are you just like, I want the person that's ready to grow inside and outside?
So my marketing firm hates what I'm about to say, but you asked it, so I'm going
Yeah.
to say it. It's really if you have a growth mindset, if you're
Mhm.
willing to be accountable and execute, that's who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Now, the technical answer from the marketing firm would be it's a small to medium sized business that's going from this to that. And here's the deal. I work with a staffing company, a sushi company,
Yeah.
a dental practice, a jet charter company. So is there
Yeah.
one niche? No, but I will tell you, if you don't have a growth mindset, we're not going to work well together. We are a bad fit for each other.
Don't
If you're
come over
not
here.
yeah, that's
Yep.
right. And so it really is that. If you have a growth mindset and you're willing to be accountable and execute, let's see if we're a good fit. And if we are, awesome, let's do it. If not, anything I can do to support them.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And that's where we get into like the psychographic, or even I think there needs to be a word like, the mental graphic or the graphic instead of a demographic. It's like mid-sized companies that make this much and have this many employees. Okay, that's the demographics, but you're talking about, a mindset and a psychographic and an energy, openness to grow, which I love. That is awesome. And so where do you get your inspiration? So you're giving, you're serving, you're building these business. Is there a book in the last 12 months that was really impactful for you? Let's start there.
Well, I mean, you've mentioned one. I reread Think and Grow Rich and Man's Search for Meaning every single year, and I also decided to throw in How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I got through the first three this year because I'm just on a tear this year. I'm reading. Last year I thought Charles Duhigg had a book that I didn't hear a lot of people talk about. I thought it was fantastic, which is Super Communicators. I am a big fan of Charles's work. I think The Power of Habit, I absolutely love that book. So those would be the ones that absolutely come to mind of recent reads. But I
Yeah.
am a bit old school where I go back and reread the ones that have always been impactful. And Man's Search for Meaning is one of those books that it's heavy, man. I'm not suggesting if you're listening, guys, this is not a entertaining read. This is like put your stuff on, know that you're going to cry a little bit, but for me it grounds me every year and really reminds me of how grateful for all the amazing things I have in my life. So that's kind of what has inspired me recently.
It's fantastic. You and I we're both big readers, and we've authored books, obviously, right? So we know, the power of receiving in that way. And I don't know if you've heard this stat, but they said the top leaders in the world. So people in terms of what do we measure that by, whether it's, sphere of influence, financial, revenue, philanthropic. So this was like leaders across just people who have an impact, right? So both financially and, on the world. The top 1% read a book a week,
Mm.
and the average, even like normal reader, is less than one a month. And so it really interested me. There have been years when I've committed like and tracked it, reading a book every single week. And then some years I've just kind of have that, I just am always consuming books anyway because they fill me, they fill the well, and like you said, it's grounding. But I'm a rereader. So I will reread like you. I have certain books that I'll read either every year or every couple years because I just know that it's like that's the message. I think it like steeping like a tea bag. Like I want to steep in this and take it in again at a new level, right? Because it's not like we've mastered everything in a book, right? At least I haven't. I don't read it once. I'm like, I've executed everything in this book, you know? Oh no, if I execute one thing out of a book, I think that's great, and then I swing back around, and so that's really I love hearing that list, and I haven't read Super Communicators.
Yes.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I will be putting that on my list for this coming week. And is there anything else that you feel in terms of like peak performance? You're coaching people on the inner game, their mindset. Anything else in this particular time? You mentioned the client whose stress levels were off the roof. They were high functioning in terms of getting stuff done, but then the cost. You talk about what does something cost? It was costing them stress, which we know is a chronic, that can create health issues and it can create all kinds of stuff. Anything we should know to really to go win, since it's let's go win, to win in 2025.
You know, it's a great question, and I have two answers.
Yeah.
One, as a leader, I would say be vulnerable. If you want to be the best absolute leader you can be, just be willing to share, let people in. And I was so reminded I had a call yesterday with three gals out of Kentucky that I was like, ladies, they were talking about trust and how they can't get their team to trust them. I said, okay, cool. How much have you let them in? What do you mean? I said, what do they know about you? Not very little. I said, well, do you trust anybody that you really don't know? And they're like, no. Okay, well, let's be open a little bit. Let's open up a little vulnerability. And it's the most profound lesson I learned as a leader. So that would be one. The second one, this isn't the first time people have heard it, but I have to say it, especially any female listening, please hear this. Please take care of you. The most unselfish thing you can do is to take care of you, your mind, your body, and your soul every single day. Because, Sarah, the challenge I have is I'll ask my female clients, hey, what did you do for yourself today? And they'll list the car, the house, the husband, the kids, the dog, the email. And I mean, it's a litany of things. And I said, time out. What did you do for you? And here's the problem. My mom is a wonderful woman, but she put everyone else first. And there's a shelf life to that. And what I want you to realize, for you to show up as the very best version, as a mom, as a husband, as a father, as a employer, whatever your role is, you have to focus on you. So give yourself that gift. I'm going to ask for 15 minutes a day in the morning before you do anything else. That would be something that it's so simple, and yet very few people choose to do that. And I just hope more choose to.
I love it. It is, we act like it's, somehow an indulgence or it's heroic to kind of martyr ourselves, whether it's like men, women, and definitely I'm a mom, been married 24 years, it's like it's easy. I've got a dog, it's very easy to just be like give, give, give. And yet it's the most selfless. Like if we want more longevity, we want to give more, be the kind of, parent that we want to be. And I love that you're bringing this forward because we can get this conditioned messaging that it's selfish or that it's, whatever it is, right? And it's not true. It's actually the selfless thing is to fill the cup, put the oxygen mask on first. Jim, I know you've got a big day. You've got lots going on. I'm so grateful you made time with us. Can we just finish with like one practice in your morning routine? You talked about taking that 15 minutes. What's something that it's just like, this is my non-negotiable. You mentioned meditation, but can you give us like a specific, like, if there's a particular meditation style or a particular thing that you do that you think just gets you in state the
I'm the
fastest?
worst guest because I'm going to give you three. It's called the perfect
Fine.
morning routine.
Okay, well, let's go. Who wants this? Perfect morning routine. I love it.
It's 33 minutes. And
Yeah.
so I said 15, but look, I do mine for 33 minutes. I do 11 minutes of deep breath work. So if you're
Mm.
not familiar with breath work, I would say go check out Wim Hof, Wimhof. He's absolutely incredible. So I do 11 minutes of deep breath work. Then I do 11 minutes of meditation, every once in a while guided, but for the most part, solfeggio frequencies or just something of, calm. And then lastly is my 11 minutes of yoga, and that's all seven chakras. Each chakra gets its own pose, starting with the lotus pose, ending with really my crown chakra and a very simple pose. And those 11 minutes are sacred, Sarah. I would not have been here on the show this morning had I not done it because my energy's not the same. I don't feel as energized as I do when I do that. So that would be my non-negotiable. Like, look, Guys, 33 minutes. It's my time. The perfect morning routine. I love it.
That is awesome. First of all, I love 33. We've got we love our numbers and that beautiful 33 and fabulous. I love this. I think 11 minutes of breath work is intense. Like that takes real stamina to work. I've done a lot of, breath. I mean, that's awesome. So think about oxygenating, opening up, and then you blend it with the meditation, and then you're doing the yoga poses to line up the chakras. My morning routine is non-negotiable. People think I'm crazy. I get up at 5 and people are like, that sounds awful. And I do it before my husband, my son, the dog, everyone's, because then I'm there. I am all there. When we interact, I am already in state. I feel freaking awesome and I have more energy I don't know if I think it gives me energy to do the morning routine. So love this, Jam. You're amazing. I'm excited for everything you have coming up. Thank you for pouring into us and helping everybody here rise this week.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Sarah. I appreciate you so
Where
much.
can people follow you? Best place to find you if they want to see everything, keep updated on new books and all the stuff, where can they go?
Well, the easy place with everything is letsgowin.com. Lots of free resources for you there. If you want to reach out, info@letsgowin.com, just send that email. I actually will reply. And I love meeting new humans. So, and also, yes, you mentioned it earlier. Check out the Let's Go Win podcast. I'm telling you, you guys hear Sarah as a host. I hope you've heard her as a guest because dang, she is dynamic and it was awesome.
Well, we're thrilled. We're going to put all those links in the show notes here. You guys check out the podcast. Absolutely. Check out the website with all the resources and make sure that you follow J.M. Reyerson this year and beyond. It's going to be an epic year. We're so grateful you made the time today.